Alright guys, it's my Gliscors here, bringing you the Week 3 team builder against the Toronto Arcanines. His team's actually looking pretty threatening. He has a regen core, really strong mons. It's actually pretty hard of a matchup for us, so let's just get straight into this. After coming off a strong win last week, hopefully we'll be able to bring it into this week. So yeah, let's just get straight into this. He has Tornado's Eye, which is incredibly fast. It gets Hurricane, Knockoff, also has that Regenerator ability, can be U-turner, can just be really scary to our team. We don't have much really for it, just because of how incredibly fast it is. Victini, Banded, Scarfed, Life Orb, has incredible versatility with its 100 base stats across the board. Hits really hard with V-Curate. I believe it gets U-turn as well. It's really something we have to just be ready for and have good switch-ins to it. Mimikyu has that SD that can do Behind the Disguise, can also be special as well. Can sweep with Shadow Sneak as priority, and can just do incredible amount of damage. Excuse me. Rotom Wash, Bulky Volt Switcher, gets Hydro Pump, Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split. It only runs about those 5 moves. Maybe like a Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, something like that out of the ordinary. But other than that, it doesn't really have much else other than being bulky, Scarf, maybe Specs, Trick. It really doesn't have much versatility, which is why I like using Rotoms. I don't like a mon where I have to put so much work into. I just like a mon where I go U-turn, Defog, Roost, and it works every time. Like, that's why I love drafting Crobat, that's why I love drafting Golbat. It's just, I can run those 3 moves, and it's just solid, and I don't have to worry about, well, maybe I need to run, like, when I'm trying to figure out things for this, we just have a lot of coverage and I don't know which coverage to choose. But when a mon only does 1 or 2 things, it's really not that big of a deal. Anyways, before we get on that side tangent, he has Tangrowth, which is another regen mon, has a lot of coverage. I'm expecting some sort of HP Flying or HP Ice, either to counter Buzzwole or Mince. So we'll see what he goes with, but I am expecting one of the 2. He has Donphan, it can set up rocks, spin. Hits really hard with EQ, great physical defensive bulk, has priority with Ice Shard, doesn't have recovery, but it does get rest, I believe. Also has Knockoff, which can be really annoying. Lucario sets up SDs, Nasty Plots, both good on physical and special side of things. Has Bullet Punch, Extreme Speed for priority, and can be really threatening. So it's definitely something we have to get rid of before we get into it. Uxie, really bulky. Sets up rocks, can be fast, can run Trick Room, can use momentum to switch out and set up with like Luke or something, well, Lucario that is, or set up with pretty much anything like Victini. It can just be really annoying to deal with. Licky Licky, I honestly don't know what to say for this except it has a lot of coverage and it's definitely not something I'm going to just be like he's not bringing it, because it can do a lot of things that you just wouldn't expect it to. Lipard, Prankster Mon, gets T-Wave, U-turn. It's just a incredibly fast mon, hits 342, which is kind of annoying for our team because we're not the fastest team, but we definitely have a way with dealing him. And then Mega Ampharos has agility, really high special attack stat, also gets Cotton Guard to boost its defenses. Great offensive mon, it can also be defensive. Really, whatever happens, we have to be ready for it. Anyways, we're going to get into it. Delmise, the Expert Belt ensures most of the 2-hit KOs and OHKOs, but I'm running Lumberry just because I don't want to get burnt from Rotom Wash, as this is my only thing that can actually hit Rotom Wash for super effective damage outside of like HP Grass on other mons. Of course, it only having 1 weakness, and that's Grass. We have to be ready for it. So we're running Lum instead of Expert Belt, which kind of sucks, but we should be able to be okay with it. EQ hits Mega Ampharos, Lucario, and Victini, although we will be using Shadow Claw because it does more damage. But like if we click EQ in front of something and he switches into Victini, it hits it anyway. Anchor Shot lets us trap Uxie into a KO with Shadow Claw, also hits Mimikyu switching in, or it just traps Mimikyu in general, although Mimikyu does beat us 1v1 if he is at +2. So that is something to keep note of. Power Whip is mainly for Rotom Wash and Donphan, hits everything super hard that really wants to come in, except Tangrowth just eats every hit that we can do to it. And Shadow Claw is just a strong stab that hits Uxie, Victini, and Mimikyu. And that's pretty much it. I wish I could ensure some 2-hit KOs with the Expert Belt, but the Lumberry is just so crucial because I do not want to get burnt. Next up, we do have Leftovers Mammoth Swine. We have enough speed to outspeed Tangrowth, Donphan, Licky, and Mega Ampharos. Obviously just running leftovers to heal up. Don't really have any item I could really use outside of it. Running EQ just hits a lot of everything. Oko is pretty much everything outside of Tangrowth. Ice Shard is for priority if we ever need it. Icicle Shard hits Tangrowth, and it also lets us see if it's physical or Spadef, and Stealth Rock is just really annoying to his team. Hits things like Tornadus, Mimikyu, and that's about it. That's all it hits for huge damage, but it does chip away at other things and forces him to come in and rapid swim with things like Donphan or Defog. I don't think Licky gets Defog. So his only hazard removal, I believe, is Donphan with Rapid Spin, so hazards can be extremely annoying to him. So we're just running max HP, well, not max HP after we sped crept those 4 Mons, just max damage so we can do the most amount of stuff. We are bringing Amistar this week. We are shell smashing up. Now this is a really weird set, so I want to try to explain everything that's going on here. Rinda Berry is for Tangrowth. We can live 1 Giga Drain as long as he isn't special attack invested. We can either be a early game offensive threat because he does have a lot of priority, so once we get set up, we are set up and we just have to keep going with it. We can't like switch out and set up again because it lets Lucario come in and set up for himself. So I was gonna run Focus Sash so we could live any sort of attack and then get the weak armor boost and start sweeping, but then when we're at 1 HP we die to priority. So we're running Binder Berry so we can set up in front of Tangrowth, or if Tangrowth wants to come in we can take a hit from it. Also, if any other random HP grasses are out there, we can eat them up as well. Weak armor plus Spell Smash lets us outspeed everything. And yeah, so of course the Shell Smash is going to boost our special attack and speed, which will let us outspeed everything, barring Scarfers. Ancient Power at +2, Oko's max HP, AV Tornadus, depending on its spread. Also can give us more boost and let us sweep even more. HP Grass is a 2-hit KO to Rotom, does about 70 to 80, unless we hit a crit, of course. I don't want to be walled by Rotom, so we have to run HP Grass. And then Ice Beam is things for Tangrowth and Ampharos. Maybe even Torrent-T if we don't get the chance to use Ancient Power. I can't unfortunately use any Water Stab because there's no fitting on the thing. If I got rid of HP Grass for Scald or like Surf or something, then we lose to Rotom. If I ran something over Ice Beam, then we lost to Mega Ampharos or Tangrowth. So we have to take the good with the bad. I don't really expect this set to do much, which is kind of unfortunate to say, but I really didn't have anything else I wanted to put here outside of maybe like Skuntank or something, but I didn't really think that it would do much. This is just here to apply a lot of pressure to his team and scare him into playing around a Shell Smasher. Also, he could think we're some sort of Spike Stacker since he only has 1 Rapid Spinner. So that is also something else we could try to go for. Anyways, next up we have the Buzzwole. Enough speed to outspeed Donphan, Tangrowth, Licky, and Mega Ampharos. Same thing as Mamoswine, they both have the same speed stat. We do have Bugonium Z over Scarf, so we can Oko the Tangrowth unless it's physically defensive. I was feeling Scarf so we could beat the Tornadus, but I didn't really feel like it was necessary. Brick Break over Superpower because it 2-hit KOs pretty much everything that's weak to fighting, like Lucario and Licky. We don't need any attack investment to 2-hit KO, and Superpower lowers our attack stat and doesn't let us get the 2-hit KO. So I just feel like Brick Break was better. We can sweep with it. Leech Life lets us get recovery up on things like on like Tangrowth. If it's AV, it's a 2-hit KO. If he's physically defensive, we get good chip on him, and we get good recovery on pretty much everything like Victini. Sure, we do lose to Mimikyu with our we don't have a poison move or a steel move to beat Mimikyu, but I can't fit anything on here. I could get rid of Substitute for something, but I feel like Substitute we could sub up in front of some of the slower mons if they want to switch out, and then we can hit things that we don't outspeed. Like if he goes into Licky, we come in, we click substitute instead of brick breaking it, and he goes into Tornadus. Then we can hit Tornadus with an Ice Punch instead of running Scarf to hit it with an Ice Punch. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say there. Like, once we're behind the sub, it's going to take him a turn to land a Hurricane, and we can hopefully 2-KO with Ice Punch. We are running as a lot of defense as possible because we just need the defense. Running any attack investment is completely pointless because we get every 2-KO or 1-hit KO necessary without attack investments, so there's no point in wasting these, wasting the stat. Next up, we do have the Espeon, which, let me get to it, is Nuff's outspeed everything but Tornadus T. We have Colbur Berry, so we don't have to worry about knockoffs. We can Calm Mind right up next to Uxie if he wants to Calm Mind with that. Psyshock hits opposing Calm Minds, hits Lucario, Torrentee, Mega Ampharos really hard. Dazzling Gleam so we aren't walled by Liepard, and Shadow Ball so we can hit Mimikyu. Wish we could run some sort of recovery, but unfortunately we can't. Also, the Colbur Berry lets us take hits like Foul Play better from the Liepard. And hopefully we get a couple Calm Minds up so we can try to win in the late game or do some really good damage early game. I really love how much work Choice Specs Espeon did in the last couple games, but unfortunately I can't bring it again. So I'm feeling like this set could put in some work, could not. Although Choice Specs might just be the better idea, just hit everything extremely hard. Although we don't even outspeed Tangrowth, so we'll always have to switch out. So hopefully that we will be okay. We are running Choice Scarf Rotom. Outspeeds his entire team. Thunderbolt for Torrentee, Rotom Wash if possible. If Rotom Wash is a switch in. He's kind of weak to Electric outside of Tangrowth and Donphan. Volt Switch for Momentum. HP Grass so we can hit Donphan without having to click Overheat. HP Grass is also good if he decides to switch in Rotom Wash, and it also hits that. So obviously Thunderbolt does more damage to it because it's stab and everything, but HP Grass can also hit it if he wants to switch into it, and we're predicting Donphan instead. And Overheat does really good damage to Tangrowth if he's physically defensive, and it lets Buzzwole beat it once it's weakened. We didn't bring Salamence just because I didn't feel like we could set up Dragon Dances in a lot of things, and excuse me, if we would have brought it, we would have used it more of a Dragon Dance, or as a more of a Wishbasser and Defogger more than anything. And I didn't really feel like another offensive threat would be necessary because we kind of have offense, and I would need a defensive role more than anything. So I didn't feel like bringing Salamence would be even worth it because he has a lot of threats that would beat us anyway, like Glaceate on Victini, HP Ice on pretty much anything that he feels like he needs to beat it. So we can bluff bring immense. Primarina is just way too slow for this matchup. Its coverage doesn't hit a lot of things. We'd have to run specs to do good enough damage anyway, and we just don't do enough damage. We get walled by Rotom outside of Energy Ball, which 2-KOs, but we're slower than Rotom, so we died with Thunderbolt. I just didn't really feel like it would put in enough work that we need to. Golbat, again, is slow, doesn't handle most of the wall breakers, easy setup fodder for things like Lucario and Mimikyu. We can Toxic Mimikyu, but we can't Toxic Lucario, which just really sucks. He can hit us with a +2 Bullet Punch, which does 50%, and then we're forced to Roost, and constantly Roost again, and then he just gets a free Swords Dance when we Roost, and he sweeps our entire team with a +6 Lucario. Skuntank doesn't do much on the physical or defensive side of this matchup. Loses to Donphan. I can't defog in front of Donphan either. That's another thing with Mence. Like, Mence would lose to Donphan because of Ice Shard. I really can't do much. Like, Donphan's such a huge threat to my team, and when my defogger loses to Donphan, that's a problem. So I wish I could have ran Rapid Spin on this, but I don't feel like Rocks does too much damage to our team outside of Rotom Heat. So we'll try to take the good with the bad. And then Mega Aggron gets beat by the most of his team. Could be helpful with Rocks, but we do have Mammoslime for that. And it just lacks recovery, and it isn't really helpful against the Regen Core. He can easily switch around. Rotom Wash takes every good hit. It's a solid pivot every time I go into Aggron. Then he goes into Donphan, KOs me. I really can't do much with Mega Aggron in this matchup. these were the only 6 mons that I could find useful in this matchup, and it's going to be such a hard match. I do apologize for this not going up yesterday. I can't say that it wasn't my fault. He had a lot of things going on. I can't blame him though. I always have that stuff happen to me. So I can completely understand where he's coming from. Anyways, if you're excited for the match, leave a thumbs up rating. The match will be going up 2 hours after this one, so stay tuned for that. Click the notification bell so you don't miss it, because that would be really unfortunate if you miss our battle. Anyways, that's about does it for this video. I am the Mighty Gliscor, the coach of your New York Gliscors, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.